Hello everyone, welcome to another video of Learn Kurdish Language series, and this is our lesson, like 21st lesson of Learn Kurdish Language, and this time I will talk about 10 Kurdish idioms. It's a little bit difficult to explain Kurdish idioms. I mean, not just this is not just the matter in Kurdish language. I mean, any language, it's a little bit difficult to translate idioms or explain idioms in a way. I mean, we will face some untranslatability problems here and there, but I'm trying to explain it, as much as I can. So yeah, and our previous video was about prepositions, and I think that was the part one. I think I'm not going to make another video about prepositions, probably in future, probably not. Um, yeah, but for the next lesson, I think I'm going to make a general or common phrases part two, because the last one got 10,000 views, and maybe I'm going to make a second part as well, because there are certain words or certain phrases I've forgotten, or I had forgotten to write down and explain. So probably in the next video I will cover the ones that I had forgotten. Anyway, let's get into the lesson, because I think it's going to take some time in order to explain these idioms. So first of all, we need to know what are idioms, and the legendary Google says that idiom is a group of words established by usage as having meaning not deducible from those of the individual word. For example, over the moon, see the light, etc. So you cannot deduce the meaning solely by looking at the words. You need to dig deeper in order to understand it. So it's some sort of expression. It is some sort of as you see here, idiomatic expression. So it's an expression, um, and yeah, you cannot just depend on the words and the sentence structure. It goes deeper than that. The meaning goes beyond the morphology and the syntax of the structure of the sentence. All right. Usually, by the way, idioms are informal. Uh, I mean, they have informal usage, although there are idioms that are used in informal context, informal situations as well. But yeah, but in Kurdish, I will tell you which idiom, because especially the idiom at the end, very informal. But I can tell you a way to reduce that informality. Anyway, let's take some words about regarding idioms, and then we will go slowly into our first, we will go slowly toward our first idiom. But anyway, so idiom in Kurdish, we also say idiom, but not in English pronunciation, because these two words are cognates. Idiom in Kurdish, we say idiom. Okay, we say idiom. This is how we pronounce it, and this is how we write it in the Arabic script. Yeah, idiom. And then idiom, in Kurdish we say idiom, and there are differences, by the way, between proverb and idiom. Proverb in Kurdish you can say pend, you can say pendi peshinan, and you also can say qseinastak. So these three are somewhat synonym to the word proverb. But in this lesson I'm not going to talk about proverbs. But if you guys want, I can make list of Kurdish, because we have a lot of proverbs in Kurdish. So for the next time, if you guys like this format, I'm trying to make other videos regarding Kurdish proverbs and Kurdish slang words or Kurdish slang expressions. Some of these idioms are used in slang wildly, but anyway, uh, widely, not wildly, widely. So quote, by quote, I don't mean quotations. By quote, I mean when someone famous says something, like for example, Mark Twain or Albert Einstein, when they say something, these quotes or citations. in Kurdish are called wuta. Wuta basically means quote or citation, and wuti naudaran, sometimes you also can say wuti naudaran. Naudaran means famous people. So naudar means famous. Naudaran means famous. Oh my God, I made a mistake. Means famous people. So wuti naudaran means the quotes of the famous, quotes of famous people, something like that. Then we have slang. Slang in Kurdish, you can say zmani bazari. Basically, zman means language. It's to modify. Um, it's a Kurdish, it's a Kurdish grammatical trick. I've talked about it in short in some other videos that I had before. It's like izafa in English. I recommended one of Kurdish grammatical books. I think the guy in that book he talks about this because this concept is a little bit. I mean I don't know how to explain it in English. It sounds like it is very close to. By the way, it's very close to French language when you have this particle de, you know, langage du français, for example, something like that. But anyway, so Zman but itself means language, and Bazari, it came from the word bazar. And basically, bazar means bazaar. I think in English it's the same. It means, the shopping center, something like this. It's very famous, especially in Middle East. You have bazaars, and also you have this word in English as well. Let me check the internet. Let me check Google. Yeah, bazaar. Let me see how to pronounce. How do you guys pronounce it in English? Bazaar. So it's not like bizar, like bizarre, bizar, but it is bazaar, bazar. A market in Middle East in a Middle East country, or fundraising sale of goods. Anyway, so this is, I mean, in Kurdish, when you go to shopping center, I mean, usually in cities you have in the city center, usually you have markets and you have shops, and this is called bazaar. So Zmani Bazari means the language of bazaar. It basically means the common language, casual language, the language that is used in, and it's usually not preferable when you talk with elders. You should not use this type of language. For example, I explained it in my common expression video, bale and a. A and bale, they both have the same meaning, which means both of them means yes. But bale is formal, somewhat formal, and a is somewhat informal. For example, when you talk with your grandparent, when your grandfather, for example, says, "Are you okay?" You should not say a. You should say bale. So a is very disrespectful in this context. So is bazari. It's used in Zmani bazari. It's used in the language of bazar. So Zmani bazari basically means slang in English. Dialect, in Kurdish we say dialect, which is widely used as word. There's another word called lahja, but lahja is Arabic. But sometimes we use it in our colloquial conversations. But dialect it has more usage basically. I mean, I use dialect. I don't use lahja anymore. It sounds strange to me, this word lahja. In Kurdish, it sounds strange to me, but many people use lahja as well. But dialect is Kurdish cognate, Kurdish English cognate. So we also use shewazar, but shewazar is also synonymous with accent. And accent means shewazar. Basically, let me give you another trick. Shewa. Look, the composition of the word. Shewa means shape, and I talked about it in my geometrical shapes, I think, in my arithmetic video. But anyway, shewa means shape, and zar basically means language. It's another fancy word for, well, zar has two meanings. It means mouth. It's a fancy word for mouth and language, but it's usually used in academic writing. But anyway, shewa zar also means it means accent. I think there are other words, but I don't remember regarding dialect and accent. But these are widely used words. Then you have, let's get into our first idiom expression. And we have idiomatic expression. So, Sarlak sakani darnakam. So this is how you pronounce it, and this is how you write it in Kurdish. Sarlak sakani darnakam. Yeah, anyway, so word-to-word translation. So this the green part is word-to-word translation, somewhat word-to-word. It means that I can get my head through his talks. In other ways, you can say I cannot get my head around it, or you can say I do not understand. So the meaning of the expression is I do not understand at all. But there's something else. This is flexible. By this E, we say I don't understand him or her. But if I say means I don't understand you. So this is flexible. Let me give you, yeah, it's basically like to say I don't understand any of this. I don't understand anything you are talking about. But let me give you some sort of a rule or some sort of a pattern. So you say serla, oh my God, serla, blah blah, the thing that you want to say, because you also can. There are other versions of this idiom. You can replace sakan by other words as well. You can say I don't understand your ways. Like in Kurdish we don't say ways, but I don't understand your thinking. I don't understand the things you do. So you can replace this, and I will show you some other examples right now. But by this plus I mean, which ending would you add to the word according to the person you are talking to, and then blah blah in the word that you talk about. For example, "Sar la karakani darnaka" means I don't understand. I mean, word to word translation, you say I cannot get my head around his works. But by works, we don't really mean works. By his ways, for example, or I don't understand his ways. I don't understand things he things he does. Sorry, my bad English. I don't understand the things he does, etc. Sarlo wutei darnaka means I don't understand his. I cannot get my head around his quote. By his quote, I mean it can mean what did he say or she said, or the citation, as I talked about, quote. You know, like a famous person said something. For example, you read a quote by Einstein or Socrates or Plato, and you say, "Oh, you can say which basically means I don't understand that quote, or you can say I don't understand that quote of him, something like that. Okay. Means I don't understand anything. I cannot get my head. I cannot get I cannot get my head around anything. I can get my head around it at all. Like you can say at all. Means I don't understand you. I cannot get my head around you. So you also can add this qat, which basically means never. You can add this qat into any of these sentences. Means I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I cannot get my head around this. Means I don't understand philosophy, or I cannot get my head around philosophy. And you also can ask, why can't you get your head around it? Why don't you understand it? So you also can say, you also can ask it as a question. So that's our first idiom. Let's go to our second idiom. Jergem boyjanaga. Basically, jerg means liver, and I think I put stomach. How? Anyway, I think I put stomach. Anyway, jergem boyjanaga. This is how you write it in Kurdish abjad script, or Kurdish Perso Arabic script, and if you translate it word for word, it means my liver hurts for him. Jan, it's a fancy word to say hurt. And there is actually a novel called Jan Yugel, which basically, Jan, it's a very difficult pain, or it's a very it's a pain that aches highly. What am I talking about? It's basically it's a miserable pain. It's a pain. It's the pain's really annoys you. So Jurgen Boyjanaka basically is my liver hurts for him. It is as it is as if you say I feel pity for him or I feel pity for her. You also can say, as I said, you can change the ending. Jurgen Boyjanaka means my liver hurts for you. It's not. By the way, it's not romantic. It is basically when you feel sad for someone, when you hurt for someone, you say "Jurgen Boyjanaka." In this context, jerk actually in slang language, we also have jerk can be used as kid. Okay. For example, there's an expression in Kurdish we say, "Don't kill him. This is your son. This is your jerk. This is your liver." I don't know why, but jerk in slang can also mean son or daughter, your children. So jerk in Boyjanaka, it can mean, it hurts you so much. Just like how if your kid is hurt somehow by someone and you feel in pain. So it's like a simile or metaphor, whatever. So basically, you use this when you feel pity for someone. You use this expression. And then this is how you write it in Kurdish script. So means it is like drinking water. It is as if you are drinking water. So basically, it is a way to say it's a piece of cake. It's a way to say it's a piece of cake in English. It's also an idiom in English. But in Kurdish, we don't say it's a piece of cake, or it's as easy as eating cake. But you would say this is like drinking water. So it is like drinking water. You say so al means this thing is easy. It's easy to do. Oh, that was easy. Yeah, okay. This is somewhat not really rude, but I mean, don't use it in formal situations, all right? I mean, heavy. This is not her, this is her. So this is, yeah, that's not her. So, I mean, a spelling mistake. So, heavy nanaset. If you translate it word for word, ker means donkey. So you say a donkey wouldn't recognize or wouldn't have recognized its owner. So a donkey doesn't recognize its owner. It's basically it is to describe. It is basically to describe that a place it was very crowded. So you say, oh gosh, it was very crowded. Well, I mean, you can the sentence is flexible. You can change it according to the time, to the mood, to the aspect, to the subjunctive aspect of it. So the sentence is flexible. But this one is basically used for present. You say, "Oh my God, it's very crowded." Means a donkey wouldn't recognize its owner. Well, I don't use this word. With friends is fine. It is as if you say packed like sardines in a can, but I think we have another idiom for this. But it is as if you say it's packed like sardines in a can. This is an English idiom. So basically, when you go somewhere is very crowded, and you can use this. And if you want to talk about the past, about an event happened, and you were in a crowded festival, you can say ker anasi. Anasi means they wouldn't have recognized, a donkey wouldn't have recognized its owner. Anyway, let's go to another one. Dilman Paka. Dilman Paka, well, I mean, You also can, Dilman Paka means our hearts are clean, but you also can say Dilit Paka means your heart is clean. This expression has several usages, but it is used when two people say something unexpectedly at the same time. So when two people say the same word at the same time or the same thing at the same time, for example, my mom and and her sister, when they talk, and they say something at the same time, oh, they say, oh girl, look, our heart is clean. So basically means, when two people say the same thing at the same time, you say, Domampaka. Or basically, when you talk about someone and someone appears, you say, "Oh, your heart is clean. How did you know this?" But it's like speak of the devil. You also can use it in that sense as well, and it has several other usages as well, if I'm not wrong. And about the picture here, how many coincidences here can you spot? Because this, it's used when something coincidental happens. So there is the watch 1010. She plays tennis, and there's an advertisement for tennis or whatever that poster is. And what else? What else? These two guys wearing the same clothes and they bump into each other, and she's wearing something, and I think maybe a butterfly, and a butterfly appears, comes to the house. There's flowers here and flowers there. I don't know. I've just spotted these things, and maybe, yeah. Look, 1010 here, but reversed, and here's 1010. What else? Let me think. Yeah, that's enough anyway. We are not talking about probability. We are talking about Kurdish language. Anyway, what can I quote? By these dots, I mean some other stuff can come before it or after it. What can I quote? It means just like your name. Like your name, as your name, not as your name, just like your name. Okay, this is how you can pronounce it, how to translate it word by word for word. But what it means, do not forget. Do not forget it. Do not forget something. I must give you examples in order to understand this. For example, remember it as if you, just like how you know your name. Just like, this expression is like, you never forget your name. Well, at least, when something in the movies, when there's a patient, oh, I don't remember anything, I don't remember my name. Or like Hodor in Game of Thrones. Hodor. So what I mean, what this expression means, that you do not forget your name. Your name is something that you habituated with, and you will be habituated with for the rest of your life, and you will never forget it. So it means just remember it as if you are remembering your name, as if you know your name, just like how you know your name, you have to memorize it like this. No, this one means, this one means don't forget it. Don't forget. Keep in mind. Don't forget. This is the meaning of it. But this one, means, for example, you are studying poetry. Because in Kurdistan, we had this crazy thing. We had to memorize poems in our literature class. So sometimes the teacher said, as I said, it's flexible. She said, you guys have to remember, you have to memorize it just like your name. Yeah, if you add this "an," it becomes you plural. But without this "and," it means you, only you. A bit a bit, you can add this word to other ones as well. A bit, it is like, it can be used as should or must. Must or should or have to. You have to, Bizani, it means you have to know it. This is, you have to recall it or keep in mind, and this one you have to memorize it, and this one you have to know it. And I agree, this guy has the best name ever. And he has a cousin. His cousin also have a long name. Anyway, yeah. So another idiomatic expression. So havira au abi zor evet. Sometimes you can say havira au zor alacakşet. There are several versions of it. Okay. Havira abi zor evet. This dough needs more water. Which basically, you say this when something is complicated, or when you have a long conversation with someone, you just you say, this dough needs more water. This dough we have to put more water in it. Yeah, when something is very complicated, and when there is a lot, when something carries a lot of meaning, you just say, this is complicated. Say, maybe that sort of, and it's also an indication you got annoyed sometimes. For example, you talk about something and you never get into an agreement. You say, "Oh, this don't need more water." You can say, "I'm having the Irish sort of it," which basically you indicate that not. I mean, this argument carries a lot of discussions and a lot of debates, so you use this expression. But this, I mean, as far as I know, this is not. Oh my God, I made a mistake. Yeah, I mean, this is not disrespecting, I would say, idiom. You can use it anywhere. Maybe that is alright. Okay, so the other one. Bakurdiu kurti, or sometimes you can say bakurdiu bakurti. Sometimes it has many versions, but anyway, bakurdiu kurti, this is one of the versions. These ones, you can exchange this word, you can exchange their places. Bakurdiu bakurti basically means in brief and in Kurdish. So bakurdi means in Kurdish, bakurti means in short. It basically you can say in Kurdish and in brief, or in brief and Kurdish, in brief and in Kurdish. This is how you translate word for word. It means briefly and clearly, or briefly to get to the point, or to cut the long story short, or to make a short story long. Just kidding about the last one. Yeah, this guy misdirected me. Yeah, so to cut the long story short, I think that's the best way of describing it. Then we have, this one. So, من ألم نرى أو ولد بيدوشة. من ألم نرى أو ولد بيدوشة. It basically means I say it is male, which here you refer to a male animal. I say it is male, yet, or but, he tells me to milk it. So he tells you, it basically when someone demands something absurd or something impossible, it's not really absurd or impossible, but sometimes, for example, you say, Dad, take me to amusement park or something like that. And you say, he says, no, we're going to have visitors or something like that. And you have some sort of discussions. And he says, so he will say, basically, this thing is impossible. I cannot do it right now. It cannot be done right now. So, yeah, sometimes, you also can use it with your friends. You say, when they say something absurd, when they ask you to do something absurd, you can say this. Probably it's come handy when you place truth and dare. Yeah. Anyway, it's basically, maybe it's the most difficult thing to explain here. Well, not the expression, but this word. Kor in Kurdish, it has certain meanings, but it's really difficult to translate. I mean, that's the real untranslatability problem here. I cannot translate it. By the way, however, not core exactly, but korbun, it is like mutilating genitals in a way. But this is one of the meanings. This is not the main meaning, but this is one of the meanings. You know, for example, when I mean, there is another expression. When my genitals hit something and I'm in pain, I say, oh, korbu. I say korbu. You know, it basically means, you know, I lost my penis in a way. But I mean, this word is really difficult. I mean, this is one of the meanings when you use it with the verb boon or with to be, but to be a core. That's why I couldn't translate it word for word. But core can also mean rubbish, nonsense. I think in German it would be equivalent to Quatsch, something like this. I mean, come on, guy. There has to be a word, but I don't really know how to translate it into English. But qse kormaka, it basically means don't say core stuff. It is a way to say don't talk nonsense. Do not talk nonsense. But you also can exchange this qse core. Qsa means speak or talk or vocalization, speech. So you can say kari kormaka, means don't do absurd words, don't do rubbish words. By words here, we don't really mean words. We mean don't do crazy stuff. Okay. Kari kormaka. You can say fa'li kormaka. Fa'li kormaka, kari kormaka. They mean the same thing, but fa'l is Arabic and it's more funnier if you say it in Kurdish. If you say kari kormaka, it is as if you are angry at that person. But if you say fa'li kormaka, if you change this word, this is Kurdish word, kari kormaka. But if you change it to the Arabic version of it, it means totally different. You say it in a funny way. So kari kormaka, qse kormaka. My French friend always tells me that n'importe quoi. So I believe this is equivalent to this, n'importe quoi. You know, dis n'importe quoi. Don't say absurd things. Don't talk nonsense. This is qse kormaka. But this is very, by the way, don't use it in formal situations. You must only use it in casual ways between friends and stuff like this. Or you also can say, for example, if I'm telling you not to do that, but if you say this person is, you know, this person is talking for example, you say aka, or that person is, or a cat, you know, according to the Kurdish accents. That person is talking core, or talking rubbish, talking nonsense, something like this. Or you say qse core, which basically means c'est n'importe quoi in French. This is nonsense. This is nonsense talk. For example, I would say Sakani. For the sake of argument, guys, I don't really believe this, but for the sake of argument, Sakani, Aflatun. Aflatun in Kurdish means Plato. Just for the sake of argument, Sakani Aflatun Quran, which basically means the talks of Aflatun, the discourse of Aflatun is nonsense. Something like this. Anyway, that's all. That's all the Kurdish 10 idioms. And I hope you guys like it. I think it's my first time I show my face in one of my Kurdish lessons. Why not? Okay, so guys, have a nice day and bye-bye.